Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something really cool to take a look at. We have the final of this new round of models that was just recently released from remotetimesfigures. We have already reviewed their Allosaurus as well as their Centrosaurus. We now have the Iberospinus, and what a super cool species to create, because to my knowledge, I mean, it's a fairly new species, but to my knowledge, there are no models out of it so far, again, because it is a newer species, but obviously, we've now got one from Remote Times. You can see this really cool card that comes with the species title, as well as a super cool image of the dinosaur. Really nice looking paint scheme that they've given it there. Definitely a fan of that coloration that they have on it. But you can also see again the Remote Times logo down here as well. Always really cool to have this with it, because you can then, display this next to the model in your collection, letting people know exactly what they are looking at. On top of that, you also have the little booklet here, this little pamphlet, remotetimesfigures logo again here on the front. And if you actually open it up, on top of a really cool image on the other side, again, that shows you the species name and, another shot of the model itself. You also have some assembly instructions here on the inside of the packaging, which is definitely something that's always good to have when, getting a model like this. So really cool to have that included as well. And then, of course, you can now see the model itself, which looks absolutely fantastic. It's definitely the biggest model from remotetimesfigures as well, which is really cool. And honestly, one of the most striking as well. It really is quite the looker, that's for sure. So, as always, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at it, and we'll check it out from there. So I actually went ahead, got the model painted up, and we'll go ahead and take a closer look at it that way. But I want to bring this up again. You can see the image here, that the artwork that was basically on this art card from Remote Times. I was a pretty big fan of the paint scheme that he had chosen. I think it looks really cool. So what I went and did was painted mine up with that paint scheme, and I'm actually pretty happy with the way it turned out, because the color scheme that Remote Times had chosen for it just looks so nice. And again, here on the model itself, it absolutely looks really nice. I did, switch things up a little bit, but for the most part, I kind of recreated the paint scheme fairly close to what he had on that art card. As far as the model goes, though, you can see we've got a really nice open mouth for the dinosaur. You can see the teeth are showing. We have that nice hook in the jaw right there. You can also see the skin stretching on the inside of the mouth, as well as the tongue sticking up in there. It's a little hard to really get in on the inside of the mouth to see it, because it's such a thin mouth, but it looks pretty good. And again, we've got the nostrils sculpted out right there. As you lead back, you have some nice looking skin texture, and then the eye socket area as well, nicely sculpted right there. My camera's not focusing correctly. There we go. We also have a crest up here on the top of the head of the dinosaur, which on his artwork, again, had a little striping there running up toward the crest, which I tried to capture as well. Some scoop-like scales here on the lower jaw, which I highlighted with a black, because that's how it looked on the image as well. You can also see some nice skin wrinkles here on the underside of the throat. The dinosaur has its head turned toward our left, so you can see all the wrinkling and creasing here the entire way up through the course of the neck, as well as that nice turn in the neck. You can also see we've got really cool ridges running down along the back of the neck of the dinosaur, and if you look there as you lead down, you've got all sorts of variation of sizes to those ridges. They don't stay one consistent size the entire way through. They kind of, alter in size pretty much the entire way through the course of the dinosaur. As you lead down here into the arm, you can see we've got some larger scoot-like scales down there in the arm, but as you lead down a little further into the arm, you can see that we again have some really nice looking skin texture, nice muscle definition right there, as well as some nice scoots running down the course of the fingers as you lead down into the claws. And the claws have a really nice, genuine, sharp look to them as well, so they look really good. Nice detailing within the claws as well. Then as you lead up into the stomach region, you can see some more nice skin texture. I'm trying to turn it in a way the light can hit it. There you go. You can kind of see the rib cage showing right there as well. again, when it comes to the kind of light shining off of it, sort of showing off the rib cage, and the skin texture continues to look really beautiful through the course of the entire model, honestly. You can really see it popping as you lead back here into the thigh, but you can also see like a slight hump up here on the back of the dinosaur, as well as, again, more of those ridges following along the spinal column. Nice muscle definition in the thigh as you lead down. You've got nice muscle definition in the calf as well, and the foot sculpt looks really, really cool. You've got some nice scoots down the foot, very bird-like, I would say, and also, again, some genuinely sharp-looking nails down there for the foot on top of everything, which is really nice. And we do have dew claws present on the model. And another thing I really like about this model, you can see there's an area here where there is not even a ridge present. So on top of having the varying sizes of the ridges, there are areas where the ridges actually don't show up. You can see how the skin is stretching off here of the tail, and as you lead out, the tail starts out pretty thick, but obviously the tail will decrease in size as you lead further out there toward the tip. You can see, if my camera would focus, we've got, again, all sorts of varying sizes to the ridges, but they seem to get a little bigger as you lead out here into the tail, which is pretty cool. If you look at it from up above, there's also a really nice curve in the tail that sort of leans toward the dinosaur's right, but also bends in a downward position. The opposing side of the head looks pretty much just as it did, on the first side. As you lead back, you can see all sorts of creasing and stuff. Again, turning the head of the dinosaur, that's going to cause that, so you can see how, again, the skin is reacting to the movement and the turn in the neck of the dinosaur. As you lead down, you can see the arm is in pretty much the same position on this side as what we had seen on the initial side. As you lead back, you can see a little bit more here of the stomach region compared to what we had seen on the initial side, because the leg is trailing a little bit more over on this side compared to what we saw on the first side. But again, everything looks just as nice as it did on the initial side. Nice muscle definition and everything. Again, as you lead down, you've got a really nice foot sculpt over here. You can see how the toes are bending as the foot is picking up off of the ground. Again, as the dinosaur walks along, it looks really, really cool. And then we again lead out there with a really nice curve in the tail. So our Iberospinus is absolutely gorgeous, and hopefully my paintwork has at least brought the model to life pretty decently. And then the base sports some really nice earthy textures, all sorts of really nice fine detail here on the base. And I've painted it up to kind of resemble, again, a little bit of a few different earthy tones, added some greens for maybe like some slight mossy areas and stuff. I also added some vegetation to the model. This obviously did not come with it. I added these myself, and it's something that, again, I felt like looked pretty cool and was something I've had sitting here for a little while, so why not put it to use? And you can obviously see the footprints and everything here on the base for our Iberospinus. Nothing too over the top, but definitely a really nice base to go with a gorgeous dinosaur model. And just like with the Dinosaur Revolution Allosaurus, there is a magnet here on the base, also a magnet here for the underside of the foot. So if we want to put it on the base, we of course just have to match all of that up and then allow the magnet to do its thing. And there we go. Our Iberospinus is now standing on the base. Definitely stands there pretty darn nicely, and that magnet works out pretty much, I would say, as perfectly as it did for the Allosaurus, which is a nice way to apply a dinosaur to a base, especially when you have a base this thin. That's a pretty thin base, so you don't have much room for pegs or anything like that on the bottom of the foot to go into the base. So, it is nice to kind of attach it with a magnet like this. But as far as a size goes, for a length, you are looking at from the snout to the tail. Now, this isn't a perfect measurement because the dinosaur curves and everything, so it's hard to get that perfect measurement. But I would say roughly around 15 inches or about 38 centimeters. Again, it could be a little bit of a better measurement, but I would have to literally bend it along the course of the body, and there's just so many twists and turns to it. I think it would be kind of tough to do that. But as far as a height goes, just a hair under 6.5 inches, or about 16.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our Remote Times Iberospinus, and you can see that the size is pretty darn impressive. Definitely the largest out of all of these Remote Times Figures models that I have now in my collection. We've also got a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus stepping in here for another comparison. Also, the Safari LTDU Tyrannus, Schleich Diabloceratops, and Collect A Deluxe Dimetrodon next to the Iberospinus. Again, this is a species of dinosaur I have 0 models of in my collection, so I really don't have anything to compare with it that, would go well, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep giving us a few different randoms to compare next to it. We've also got the fairly recently released Daspletosaurus from How Long Good, and you can really see, again, pretty darn massive size difference, really showing off the fact that this model is quite large overall. More totally randomness here, as we have a Mojo Fun Allosaurus, as well as the TNG Woolly Mammoth for, again, very, very random this time, as we have a prehistoric mammal, not even a dinosaur. As well as the recently released PNSO Yangshuanosaurus, which you can see also is quite a bit smaller than our Iberospinus. And then for one final comparison, as I said, just sticking with completely randoms, we have the Collect A Deluxe Dinochirus here next to the Iberospinus to just iron out one final comparison. So this Remote Times Figures Iberospinus is absolutely one of the single most striking dinosaur models I have ever seen. This thing is just so gorgeous from head to tail. The sculpt is as beautiful as you're going to find for a dinosaur model. It's also an incredible species that, again, there are just 0 models out to represent it, so very excited to have one from Remote Times, and again, especially one so good. The pose on this is really nicely done, just a nice walking pose, nice and natural. The mouth is opened up, we've got a nice curve in the tail, so that looks really good as well. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing too dynamic for it. The sculpt and fine detail is also beautiful. You have really nice, very highly detailed skin texture from the head to the tail. Again, you've got really nice scale detail. You've got creases and wrinkles and skin stretching and stuff as you move through the course of the body to show the movement off very nicely. The inside of the mouth as well is very highly detailed. And again, the ridges running along the back are really cool looking. I definitely am a big fan of that. And I'm really impressed that they had, stayed perfectly fine through transit. You've got so many little ridges up there on the back. I would not have been surprised to see some of those broken when they arrived, but shockingly, they do such a great job of packing their models that they did not arrive broken. They actually arrived perfectly fine. And of course, the paintwork was done by me, so yours can look however you would like. That's really up to you, but I was pretty happy with my paint job overall. So if you are interested in this or any of the other Remote Times figures that I have reviewed recently, you can check the links in the description, as I will include links to Remote Times figures on Instagram, as well as their email address, so you can get a hold of them one way or another and place an order for some of their absolutely amazing work. So make sure you check those links. Definitely pick up this or any of the other models I've reviewed of theirs recently, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.